Hello and welcome to this year's ARMS 3 workshop. My name is Eric Gerlach and I am the state statistician for USDA NASS in South Dakota. Thank you for your time and effort in collecting this important information on the economic well-being of America's farms and ranches. Your work is truly appreciated. And it is certainly hard work. While some operating arrangements, marketing and production contracts and the like can sometimes be challenging to understand, the hardest lift is often simply obtaining cooperation from the producer to participate at all. And to that end, we often strive to find a silver bullet, that one use of the data, that compelling reason, that answer to the what's in it for me, that we can give to that producer that will hit home and ultimately gain their cooperation. The reality is that the uses of arms exist to some extent in every facet of a farmer and rancher's operation. It's just unfortunately sometimes hard to see. Some 24 years ago, I was able to tour a pork production facility as part of a college class. It was the John Morrell plant in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. This is an old picture and it's now a Smithfield facility, but the building and operating processes are generally the same. It was a fascinating tour. The precision and speed of a hog making its way through that facility was really something to see. Hogs would arrive down in the lower left-hand corner here, where the kill floor was located. They would be hooked and make their way to the top of the plant through this white enclosure. The plant is unique amongst other processing facilities in that it uses gravity primarily to move the hog through the production process. So as different cuts are made, those pieces of meat slide down a maze of stainless steel and rollers to the next floor. Sometimes a given cut would stop on a scale, and an arm would send that piece one direction or another based on its weight, with all the different cuts and products eventually making their way to the bottom of the plant and out to the right in the picture where you can see there's cold storage and refrigerated trailers waiting to distribute ribs, bacon, sausage, roasts, and hot dogs to grocery stores throughout the region. Now that's the part we can easily see. If we had to answer what's in it for me regarding hog production, I would hazard a guess that most people would point to the food aspect, but we'd likely miss the byproducts that play a part in our daily lives. When I took that tour, in the alleys of this facility, bone and blood meal was being poured into semi-trailers for use in animal feed, fertilizers, and other industrial processes. There was a blood room where blood was collected to obtain the platelets and red blood cells that can be used to supplement human blood products for transfusions. And we were also told on the tour that hospitals in the town often obtained heart valves from the plant for use in human heart valve replacements. And that's just a few of the items that I can remember from that tour some 24 years ago. Now, one Dutch artist took this idea to a whole other level. Christine Medertsma tracked every product produced from just one hog, Pig 05049, which was the ear tag of that hog, and she followed the products of that hog for 3 years. And after 3 years of that research, she determined that that one hog, Pig 05049, was responsible directly or indirectly for 185 different products. The book shows how often we probably encounter a byproduct of hog production in our everyday life. Here's just one example from the book, which is actually considered a work of art. It's not really a book you could go check out from your local library, but it shows in numbered locations where approximately from the pig each of those 185 products originated from. Here's just some examples that you would find in this particular book. Maybe some of you started today with a shower. Fatty acids made from boiling pork bone fat are used as hardening agents in soap. And if you look around you in the bathroom, You'd also find that hog byproducts are often used in shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, and many cosmetics, as Pig 05049 was used. So even before breakfast, this hog had shown up in a considerable number of everyday items. Now, speaking of breakfast, proteins from the hairs of pigs are used as an improver of dough. And in low-fat products, when you remove the fat, you often remove taste and texture with it. Gelatin from hogs is used to compensate for that. Also, gelatin from hogs can be found in some cheesecake, pudding, and other cooled items. So now we're out the door, possibly on our way to work. Cellular concrete makes up some roads. The proteins from hog bones are used in cellular concrete. The proteins from hog bones are also used in giving translucency and strength to such items as fine bone china. And if you want to think about interior decorating, Pig 05049 and other hog byproducts make their way into paint, sandpaper, and paintbrushes. Turning back to gelatin, gelatin is used as a sieve to remove cloudy elements in some types of beer production, and the same holds true for wine and fruit juice. And again, we must remember the tremendous medical uses of hog byproducts. I mentioned heart valves earlier. Also, the pancreas glands are sources of insulin, and the skin of hogs can be used in treating burn victims. Here you're able to see them again. Just a sample of that 185 products Pig 05049 was used in. Soap, shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, crayons, beer, wine, and fruit juice, sandpaper, insulin, skin, heart valves. And the farmers, according to the artist Christine Mediertsma, had no clue so many items were being made from their pigs, nor do consumers. One quote in reviewing the book said that the book illustrated the level of disconnect physically and psychologically that consumers have from the production of objects we use on a daily basis. Production agriculture often exemplifies this type of disconnect. Animal rights and environmental activists and other groups sometimes view agriculture as some type of obstacle, that it's something that they need to stop or make more difficult, rather than viewing it as the keystone to their very survival, not just through food on their plate, but through the host of everyday needs made possible by ag. For any people in those groups, do we not think that we'd find any soap, shampoo, or conditioner in their homes? No paint on the walls, no china in their cabinets, no crayons for their children. And how different would their opinions be if their son or daughter, mother or father was alive today because of a life-saving heart valve made possible by production agriculture? The same can really be said for ARMS 3. While unfortunately in many parts of our country, a majority of producers will view the work of ARMS 3 as an obstacle to their day, as an intrusion into their personal business, when in fact, ARMS 3 is a keystone to their survival as well. The products of ARMS 3 will show up in a myriad of ways affecting their operations, and no different than an activist unwittingly using products that exist in part due to the very thing they thought they were boycotting. Our producers will end up using data from ARMS 3. Agribusiness input suppliers make use of ARMS 3 data to position their businesses for the future. So the availability of credit, machinery, seed, chemicals, whether a company chooses to expand in a certain location, bringing an economic boost to that rural area or not, can hinge on ARMS 3 data. Just look at the names that I've noted attending ERS farm income webinars in the past. Input suppliers like Seneca Estates, machinery like New Holland, Farm Credit Administration and Farm Credit Services and other banks, all looking to understand the shape of the farm economy and adjust their businesses and their ability to supply the needs of our farmers and ranchers accordingly. I sincerely doubt that they were just tuning in for fun. It's certainly not hard to find a Farm Bill related headline these days, and by time you are listening to this presentation, a new bill may have been passed, but more likely there will be an extension of the current one. And arms data certainly plays a role in those negotiations, but will likely play an even bigger role when agencies go about the task of rule and program writing based on whatever is in the new Farm Bill. Here's just a sample of some of the white papers that ERS produces when asked questions from Congress, from different agencies. And I collected these when I was the Arms 3 survey administrator in our Minnesota field office. I highlighted a few words in the third example because the idea is you could really insert any topic into this type of structure. That ERS is going to be tasked with providing summary information and possible consequences of fill in the blank any new program, rule, formula, or whatever the case may be. And it is a key role of ERS to answer those questions, and they do it using ARMS 3 data. It is critical to evaluate how any rule or regulation will impact our farmers and ranchers, and that evaluation is best accomplished by understanding how those operations are structured, organizationally, and financially. And that takes ARMS 3 data. I could go on and on listing all the uses, both mandated and ad hoc, regarding ARMS 3 data, but it's really best covered in this book, which I've referenced in other presentations. Chapter 2 of Understanding American Agriculture is fully devoted, 32 pages, I believe, to all the uses of ARMS 3. And certainly if you'd like to read that, I'm sure that the field office can make a copy available to you in whatever state you're in. Or simply Google Understanding American Agriculture, and you'll find this book and be able to read chapter 2 for yourself. But just like I can't visibly show you where a hog byproduct is being used in your soap and shampoo, I can't exactly show you where flour and eggs are in a cake. We understand that they are necessary components for a finished product. Just like ARMS 3 is a necessary component for a host of items, finished products of information and data essential to our ag economy. Remember, ARMS 3 is not an exercise to find out what people have or don't have, how much money they made or lost, or prying into someone's net worth. The goal is best summed up in a portion of United States law in regards to the annual report on family farms, which is an ERS product that relies heavily on ARMS 3 data. The maintenance of the family farm system of agriculture is essential to the social well-being of the nation and the competitive production of adequate supplies of food and fiber. And when we think about this topic of farm programs and how they relate to agriculture, it is essential that no such program be administered in a manner that will place the family farm operation at an unfair economic disadvantage. That's an admirable goal, but it's really hard to do without data to measure and evaluate. This is an article that came out the last time a farm bill was being written, and this particular producer was speaking about beginning in new farmer and rancher programs. He said, "No one is against anyone starting to farm, but they don't know the needs of those who are getting started." ARMS 3 is one effort to evaluate those needs. You've heard so many times what almost feels like a throwaway line of "tell your story." Well, in fact, that is what's going on. And it's not just the needs of beginning farmers and ranchers, but all those farms and ranchers producing our food and fiber. Because ARMS 3 is not, again, not what producers have or don't have. It's about what it takes in expenditures, in labor hours, in assets, in the risks that go along with those assets, and being mindful of the importance and health of the farm economy. I thank you for your time and attention to this Arms 3 training and your efforts to have what it takes to make this as successful of an Arms 3 data collection period as possible. Thank you, and best of luck again on this year's Arms Phase 3.